Okay, if you're watching this video, I'm going to assume that you know something about the transfer portal. You don't need to know a lot until now. Now you need to know. And I'm going to give you 5 things, dramatic things that the transfer portal has changed for high school baseball players. Are you ready? Here's number 1. And by the way, I've been doing this for 17 years, entrenched, running one of the top travel programs in the country, have helped literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of kids go through this process. So I think I'm an expert when it comes to knowing how this has worked and now how it's working, because it's dramatically different. Okay, sorry, I had to give you that background so you know when I say these things, it's based on a lot of information. Number 1. It's changed so much because college coaches are now looking at high school kids differently. There used to be they would just compare high school kids, but now they compare high school kids to JUCO kids and other college kids when they're making their decisions. So number 1, it's gotten dramatically harder for high school kids because it's not so much about development anymore. And it's more about winning, okay, more about winning than ever before. So if you're a high school kid, they used to look at you and say, you know, he's going to develop. He's going to get a lot better. He's going to be able to help us. Now they look at the high school kid and say, he can't help us right now, but that college kid can. They go get the college kid. So that's number 1. Number 2, college coaches are not where they used to be. I'm talking to tons of travel guys, and the college coaches just aren't there. There's a couple reasons. Number 1, they're looking at college kids now. They're up in the Northwoods League. They're in the Cape Cod. They're in the Valley League. They're not at the Perfect Game events and the PBR events and the Prospect Wire events. Some of them are, but not nearly to the level that they used to be because they're scouting college kids now. They never used to do that. Now they do. Number 3, and this is, for me personally, this is the one I despise the most about the transfer portal. The word commitment means virtually nothing. I know this is not politically correct, but it doesn't mean anything. High school kids are committing, and if they're not good enough by the time it's time to roll around, they may be given a couple weeks notice by schools and say, you know what, we watched you all summer and you're not ready. There's a college kid we really need to get. So I know you committed verbally, but, it's not going to happen. High school kids are decommitting. Okay, they'll commit, and that used to be in basketball and football. Now it's becoming a big deal in baseball. It's just because neither side wants to commit to anything. Or they get to school. A high school kid gets to school and he doesn't have a good year, or he doesn't like it there, he doesn't like the coach, whatever. Coach can say goodbye, player can say goodbye, and they're in the transfer portal and away they go. So, unfortunately, number 3, commitment means nothing. Number 4, college experience has changed. Here's what I mean. Now, I'm an old guy, right? But when I went to college, it was about a 4-year experience. That's what it was. And I went to a little mid-major down in Macon, Georgia called Mercer University, and I had an amazing 4-year experience. There was no thought of transferring. There was no transfer portal. I went down there, had great teammates, great coach, loved my experience, and had a wonderful 4-year experience. That's what it used to be. That was the expectation. I don't know the stat of this, but I would say it's a very, very, very low percentage of college kids playing college sports, baseball, having a 4-year experience at the same school. Just not happening. And that's too bad. And then the last one, it's more of a statement that college baseball, whether we like it or not, has become more like professional baseball. Here's what I mean. Because of the NLI, because kids are making huge amounts of money at the top schools, I'm not going to mention any, but we all know the top schools. They have what they call funny money. They're getting these kids out of mid-majors, out of JUCOs. They're getting further and further and further away, the big schools, from the mid-majors. The gap is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. If you watch the College World Series this year, it was really fun to watch because the level was so high, because they have the best kids in the country playing there now. All those top teams are getting the best kids. And it used to not be like that. So it's almost like the major leagues and the minor leagues now. And I know the mid-major guys probably don't like me saying this, but the gap is getting so big that the top tier talent is at the big time Power 5 schools and everybody else is in the mid-majors, and they're getting recruited by the big schools. That's what's happening. In fact, you heard one of the guys at the College World Series actually recruiting kids in his little interview. And I'm not knocking him for that. I'm just saying that's what it's become. The big schools are getting the top talent all the time now. And the gap is huge. The gap is huge between the major leagues and single-A baseball. It's also huge between the top-tier schools and the mid-majors now. I think the days of the Cinderella schools competing at the College World Series, I think you're going to see that become virtually non-existent. So there's five huge differences that if you're a high school kid, and you're trying to compete at that level, you really need to know that you're going to have to be unbelievably good to get the attention of these college coaches now, because they have so many other kids that they can pick that are a lot older than you, bigger, physical, more advanced kids than you. And it used to not be like that. So there it is, the good, the bad, and the ugly of college baseball.